So, Anne, how long have you lived in Fitzroy or been connected with it?
I've lived in Fitzroy for 25 years,
Yeah,
and I moved into North Fitzroy when I was 24 years old,
yeah,
and bought an old house when I was first married and have renovated it and
yeah.
raised 3 children in it and become a very integral part of the whole community in both Northern Fitzroy and South Fitzroy.
Okay. So how have you become an integral part of the
I
Fitzroy
don't know whether
community?
integral is the right word, but I've been involved with the started off with the anti-freeway movement when they put the freeway through in 1978,
Yeah,
and through that met a lot of people that we became friends with, and then different groups of us worked on different projects together.
yeah,
And I was involved with a group of people in setting up the Holden Street neighbourhood house, which took us about 10 years and was a really sort of exciting thing to do. It was a time when there was great change happening.
yeah,
And then through that I became involved in local library issues, development of parks in the community,
yeah,
working with kindergartens, being on kinder committees, and you meet all these different little committees you go on, you meet lots of interesting and nice people.
yeah.
And then about 10 years ago I came to work down in this part of Fitzroy, and I worked for Barry Pullen when he was the local Member of Parliament. He was Minister for Education in those days.
Yeah.
And then I got a very different perspective on life, being an electorate officer and working with electorate issues. And then in 1993 I came over to the Fitzroy Learning Network, and I've been working here ever since.
Okay. Perhaps you could just tell us a little bit about the Fitzroy Learning Network, what it does.
I think we could describe the Fitzroy Learning Network. It's set in a large old building which was built in 1913 to be a convent for the Mary MacKillop nuns, the Josephites.
Yeah.
And it's a large double-storey house, and it's got a great sort of feeling about it. And we run the Learning Network, and we try to make it like a large Australian family home, so it's welcoming. The kettle's always on the boil, and there's always some food in the kitchen, so people can snack around and stand around the old kitchen table and chat.
Yeah.
And we have people that come from all over the world, about 16 to 20 nationalities, and people are amazed at everybody who can get on so well when quite often they come from countries where they're in conflict with each other.
Yeah.
And one of the rules we have here is that everybody's to be treated with respect, and that we have no racial issues or tensions.
Yeah.
And we actually never have to say that, but it seems to be just sort of something people understand. And everybody works cooperatively together, and we have great success with people actually learning English. The main thing we do is we teach English as a second language.
Yeah.
And we don't look at the adult students that come through the door just as an individual. We try to see them as a member of a family, and their family within the context of the community. So all the time we're looking at new needs that are arising and how we can try to meet those needs. So the Learning Network actually is involved in doing very innovative projects which try to meet needs that arise. And at the moment we've set up the first computer clubhouse in Australia.
Yeah.
And that's to assist the children of our students who don't have computers in their own home. And don't have parents who can mentor them and assist them in getting jobs in the IT industry. And so they come in here, and we've got a system where we've got volunteer mentors that come in who work in the IT industry, and they're working with the kids on developing exciting sort of projects and teaching them IT skills and talking about their jobs and being friends to them. So that's really good. We've just developed some online material for very low level English students.
Yeah.
On Australian history, because there's no material around anywhere, and it's bright and colourful and very accessible. And we produced a video 2 years ago to tell the story of 3 of our Asian students, because a lot of our Asian students were being harassed in the streets, and we thought if people could see a human face to it, then they would stop this racial vilification. So the Learning Network is surrounded by about 500 people in the community that support us. A lot of people from North Fitzroy. We don't offer them any services, but they support our fundraising activities, which enable the Learning Network to keep delivering sort of innovative and services that quite often are needed urgently.
Yeah. So you said that there's different needs depending on the people, that you treat people according to their needs. Are those needs culturally specific, do you think? Or are there...
Not necessarily culturally specific. In some cases there may be cultures where, you know, girls get married early, so instead of starting a program when, say, which you might do in Australia where kids are, say, 13 or 14, we'll start with the girls when they're in primary school, because, you know, they may be married when they're 14 or 15, so we need to get some sort of, you know, some input in a bit earlier for them.
Yeah.
But quite often it's to do with the fact that most of the students that we have here are people that have had major barriers to their education. They've had their education interrupted by civil unrest or war in their countries. And so they never had a chance to be children or go to school or, you know, quite often even work in their own country. So the terminology is difficult to engage learners, but they come here through word of mouth referral. We don't have any pieces of paper that say we offer English classes, but we enrol new students all the time, because one person will say to another, Fitzroy Learning Network is a good place to go and you'll be safe, and the teachers are professional and good, go there.
Yeah.
But if we could put out 5,000 pieces of paper, we might not pick up one student from us.
Yeah. So for a lot of new migrants to Australia, Fitzroy would be their first view of Australia? Is that fair to say?
Yeah, and it's been that way, I think, ever since the Fitzroy was established.
Yeah.
That it's been a place that's had bigger houses, but a lot of small tenant houses which were rented out, and it's the same. We've got, you know, the large high-rise estates, which, you know, when people first come to Australia, they come there.
Yeah.
A lot of people think, oh, wouldn't it be terrible to live in, you know, in the Fitzroy flats?
Yeah.
You find people that have lived there forever, and they are so happy there, and they wouldn't want to live anywhere else.
Yeah.
You know, they've got $1 million view of the city.
Yeah.
They've got all the shopping around.
Yeah.
You know,
And
so
they've
they've got
community.
they've got the community. But unfortunately, the last 10 or 12 years, things have been hard over there with drugs and burglaries and people not feeling safe. So each time the Ministry of Housing comes up with new ideas, which they're trying now, and they've got like a concierge downstairs in each of the blocks of flats, or some of them.
Yeah.
So they're monitoring actually who comes into the building, a bit like a hotel. So we're hoping that might make people feel a bit safer.
Yeah. Okay. So you live in North Fitzroy?
Yep.
Yeah.
North Fitzroy is a really nice suburb to live in, because it's a bit like a large country town.
Yeah.
It's got a fairly stable population.
Yeah.
And then there are the rental houses, you know, where you get the uni students coming in and out.
Yeah.
And when you go up the street, you know, you see all these people you know. It's a sort of triangular shopping centre up there.
Yeah.
And there's a big Italian supermarket that's been there for 50 years, and when you're a local and you go up there, you know, you add half an hour to your shopping time because you meet all these people you know, and you know all the people that have worked there because they've worked there for so long, and it's much more personal than going to Safeway or Berkeley Square.
Yeah.
And people in Fitzroy really care about their suburb, and people are really passionate, and we're trying to get our library upgraded at the moment.
This is
the North Fitzroy Library, because we're in rented premises.
Yeah.
And the situation is the people that are involved in trying to get it upgraded most passionately are not people that necessarily will benefit from the use, but we believe that there are lots of people up there that are very disadvantaged, and they should be entitled to walk to their own library, not have to drive or get public transport.
Yeah.
And so we've got we've got a group of people who are really passionate about trying to get, you know, that fixed up as quickly as we can. And the other thing is, you know, I've lived there for a long time, and I'm in various networks, and if somebody in your network gets sick, a friend of ours recently got cancer, and so the whole community, for 6 weeks, she had a meal delivered every night for her family.
Really?
And, you know, people said, oh God, surely her own family could have cooked. But the thing is, of course they couldn't, but they're under stress too, you know, because
Yeah.
their mother might have cancer and what's going to happen.
Yeah.
So, and it just means that, you know, that if anything happened to you, you'd know there'd be people there to look out for you and look out for your family and and that's a really nice thing to have.
I know that one of the fears with the Freeway campaign that it was going to split Fitzroy in two. Do you think that happened?
Yeah, I do. I think it did split Fitzroy in two because the Freeway is like a huge river between the two areas.
Yeah.
And like if you want to cross it, in peak hour and you're in your car, or even if you're on a tram, it takes a long time to actually cross the freeway.
It does, yeah.
And then if you're game enough to actually walk across the freeway, it's the most dangerous thing you could possibly do. It's, you know, traffic everywhere, and you get halfway across and then you think, can you get the rest of the way? And no, you can't. And it's I think it's really, I see Fitzroy as North Fitzroy and South Fitzroy now.
Yeah. So
and I think a lot of other people do as well.
Yeah. And in the bigger scheme of things, do you think Fitzroy's got its own particular identity, like compared to other suburbs in Melbourne? Like,
yeah, I think it has.
Yeah.
How I would define it and say we're different from North Carlton or Clifton Hill, I don't know, because I think we've all got similarities.
Yeah.
But we're definitely different to Collingwood and Richmond.
Yeah.
And I think it's to do with the location.
Yeah.
You know, for instance, Collingwood's got the river at the back of it, and the river goes around Richmond, which we don't have in North Victoria. We've got the Merry Creek.
Yeah.
You've got the style of housing. You've got the major roads, and that sort of cuts the whole community up.
Yeah.
But I think our triangular shopping centre that we've got, you know, the North Fitzroy village shops, that also creates its own identity and community feel about it.
Yeah.
And, you know, the thing is, you can have a strong identity as a community, but I think that's just, it's more important to have the community spirit that goes behind it. And I think North Fitzroy's definitely got that. We saved the high school, and it's going to be reopened. And it's one of the few in the state that was actually not demolished and had houses put on it. So, and that was a big campaign. It involved a big cross-section of people that you might not have thought would come together. So I think North Fitzroy and Fitzroy definitely has its own identity.
Yeah. And what would you see as some of the biggest threats to Fitzroy or North Fitzroy? You know, like maybe inappropriate developments or this sort of thing?
Yeah, inappropriate developments, but we've got, you know, the anti-development groups working on that.
Yeah.
I think one thing that's changed North Fitzroy and Fitzroy is the price of houses, because it means now that people coming in have to have a lot of money to be able to buy these little double single-fronted houses, you know, which 20 years ago was cheaper to buy here than to live in Eltham, and now it's the reverse. So, you know, I just hope we don't end up as a suburb of BMWs and designer children with nannies. That, to me, would be a fairly sad thing, but the area that I live in, we haven't got that yet.
Yeah. Okay. Great.
Is that all right?
Yeah, that's fine. Thanks very much.
Okay.